Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis is an absolute circus and should not be allowed to happen. But first, fight fans, make sure you hit the subscribe button and let's get ready to talk about some boxing. But first, I finally have a gaming channel. It's going to be right here in one of these corners. It is Isaac Reloaded, and I'm going to put the link to the description down below. Let me know what you guys want to see on that gaming channel for Call of Duty, Warzone, skate videos. Let me know. How you know this fight is absolutely diabolically insane is the fact that this fight was supposed to take place in Atlanta, Georgia, of all places, man. Look at the skinny jeans on those people, man. That shit is hugging their thighs. If a place like that does not want to sanction this fight, that's why it was moved to Miami. Because the Athletic Commission in Atlanta did not want to sanction it due to the weight discrepancy. Let me tell you this, man. This is an absolute joke and a mockery of the sport. And you know, I'm going to come off as a real one. I am a Jake Paul supporter. I'm not going to lie. I liked his Julio Cesar Chavez fights. I liked his, Tyron Woodley fights. It made sense for what lane he was in. But then he started talking about these, I want to be a championship boxer. I want to do this. I want to fight Canelo. Canelo's cheeks now, but, that's neither here or there. And I feel like it's time to be honest. Julio Cesar Chavez is a coke addict that just came out and is arrested for drug charges or a cartel charge, something crazy like that. Literally, I think 2 days after the fight. And when he did fight a boxer his age, he lost against, Tommy Fury, the guy who's built like an absolute action. While yes, he is fighting some of the best names in the YouTube boxing space, which is, again, like Tyron Woodley, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., all these Ryan Borland people, all these, Golden Glove boxers, Mike Tyson, what 6-year-old grandpa, and he literally grabbed him from the nursing home and literally put boxing gloves on him, which is absolutely crazy. And Netflix went along with it. That he is levels above, a lot of these YouTube boxers, such as KSI, KSI's, I don't even know if KSI counts as a boxer. KSI hasn't fought almost in, when was the last fight? Like in 2-3 years ago? His last fight was against Tommy Fury, right? When he lost, it was like 3 years ago at this point. These fighters that he's fought are all like washed, they're all, past their age. And I guess you can say that it really wasn't a fair fight. That Tommy Fury fight was fair and he lost. But, I think he beat Tommy now. I don't think Tommy's been too active. So I think that's a closer fight than what it was when it actually happened. But now he's going against fighters where there's a huge weight discrepancy. So Tank Davis. Tank Davis fights at 135, maybe 138, I think. And Jake Paul's like 220, bro, which is absolutely crazy. I think the fight max weight is like 195. Which is just, I don't know if Tank is going to have the power to put Jake Paul out. And that is right there what actually scares me. Because Gervonta's actually an amazing boxer. In our era, he's for sure probably the best one. And for him to fight, Jake Paul just is not a good look. For somebody who's coming off a draw, somebody who has, allegations of DA, domestic violence, DV, I'm an idiot. But someone also been arrested multiple times. Him doing this just isn't a good look. I know what people are going to say. Tank keeps saying he doesn't care about legacy. He just wants to make his money from the sport. But at some point, man, when you're done boxing, your legacy is what's going to get you jobs. And your legacy is what's going to keep these sponsors coming. What's going to keep you funding your expensive, lavish lifestyle. Because we've seen Tank Davis, bro. Bro's repping Chrome Hearts every day. In the press conference, they're all talking about knocking each other out, sparking each other out in 4 rounds. Frankly, I think Jake Paul doesn't hit that hard. He hasn't knocked anybody out in a long time. Tank Davis, he hits like a truck. He hits like a tank. They call him Tank Davis for a reason. But I feel like almost 100 pounds of a difference is going to be just way too much. Just way too much. Your power is not going to transfer with that weight. You're going to be hitting this man and it's not going to happen, right? I feel like it's going to look like the same thing that happened with Paul versus Tyson. It's going to look like a glorified sparring session. When I think about my heart, my boxing heart, it just know Jake Paul is not going to be knocked out by Tank Davis because of the weight, man. I keep on saying that. It's just going to make Tank look bad. And what makes it worse is it's an exhibition, so there's no official winner. So since there's no official winner, if Jake Paul doesn't get knocked out, he can just go around saying that he thought he won the fight. Also, another disrespectful thing, because I watched Tank Davis' press conference, watched the fights. Tank and I watch all the fights and press conferences. But his future opponents are going to tell him, you couldn't even knock out Jake Paul. You suck. Your ass. That's what people are going to tell him. It's just not a win-win situation for Gervonta Davis. Unless, you count the bag, man. That shit's going to be on Netflix. Everybody's watching that. You absolutely know there's going to be at least 65 million people watching that fight. Boxing-wise, I do feel like Tank does have what it takes to, beat him. maybe get him out of there, but I'm not gonna count. I'm not gonna, I wouldn't bet money that Tank Davis knocks Jake Paul out. When I look at boxing, the state of boxing, this is why I feel like the UFC is just in a more professional, it's a more steady company. Which, what brings me to my point, guys. I just broke down a video on why the UFC White House card is going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread. So make sure to check that last video in the link in the description down below. At this point, I do feel like all this talk from Jake Paul, this legacy stuff, it's not real, man. He's clearly doing it for the money, and it bugs me because I do feel like boxing, the name of boxing, the sport of boxing, needs to have more respect, man. What happened to these days of, the Tyson Furies versus Klitschko's, Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield, Canelo versus Miguel Cotto? What happened to those times, man? Like, when we actually put those fights on, when we actually watched the who's of boxing fight each other. And you know who started that shit? Mayweather started that, but that's not a here or there conversation at the moment. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Is Jake Paul making a mockery of the sport? Because personally, at this point, if he keeps doing what he's doing, I think so. Let me know if you guys agree with me. But finally, fight fans, make sure to uppercut the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.